Hi, your next challenge is entitled Find the Smallest and Biggest Numbers. You are to create a function that takes an array of numbers and return both the minimum and maximum numbers in that order. See the examples below? We have a collection here ranging from 1 to 5. Very clearly the minimum would be 1 and the max would be 5. That was an ideal case where the numbers were sorted. They aren't bound to that. See example 2. Clearly not sorted in ascending order. There are only two elements. 5 goes first because they want the min first, and the max second. And then they have a very good example in the third slot that shows what can happen with just one value. They want you to repeat that value for both the min and the max. Your notes are that all test arrays will have at least one element and are valid, but we are paranoid and won't accept that. So let's go code it. This is your chance to shine. Go ahead and pause it and solve this problem. It's very similar to a couple we've done a while back. I noticed they included the using statements for us. It feels like they're leading us to do something here. I'm not sure that I'm going to take the bait, but let's get to it. So we're dealing with doubles, note. And we will always be returning a double array of size 2. But I'm going to start with a min, and I'm going to use this values. Yeah, I guess actually we will. Let's go first or default. And this is a nice little method here that gives you the first element of the sequence or a default value if none is found. So that's a nice way to initialize things. And I think it works for both the min and max to start. That'll just start with element 1. Element 1 is by default both the minimum and maximum. And it works nice too if there's only one value, right? Then they both get populated. Gotta be sure to rename this to max. Then I'm just going to use a for each loop. I don't care about the indexes at all. So for each double d in values, let's go if d is less than the minimum, then we found a new minimum, min equals d. Else if d is greater than max, we found a new max, right? And it's going to loop for each value in this double array. Once we get through it all, we will have our min and max and simply have to return them. Return a new double array. I'm going to initialize that with the values min and max. That was the order that they wanted those in. I think this does it. Again, this should look very familiar. A little different with the double arrays, but same concept, right? We're going over collection, finding min and max. So if you remember from the previous problems, we used array max and array min because we had those problems broken out. One wanted just the minimum, one wanted just the maximum, and those were great for those single problems. Here they want both the minimum and the maximum, and so you could say, use the exact same function, right? You could say array min or a double min equals array min and load that up. Then you can do the same thing for max. My problem with that approach is so that you're going through the values array twice, and that hurts my soul a little bit. So I want to do it this way where I just go through the collection only one time. It won't matter for the few test cases they give us, but imagine if we had 1,000,000 elements in the array. I mean, that's 1,000,000 extra iterations, right? So that's why I opted to do it this way. You could certainly write this out though in a much shorter way if you prefer to do it that way. I did mention we'd do something to check the input, so thought it might be a nice chance to introduce a new topic too. So we're going to go if values equals null. That would be very bad, right? They told us we were supposed to get one element, but I think we're doing the right thing by not assuming that. Or the values dot length is less than 1. Could be 0, I guess. And I'm just gonna throw this out there just to introduce the concept. I've mentioned exceptions in the past, but we really didn't talk about them. It's kind of stating an error condition, raising a flag with these exceptions. There's an opportunity to catch them, handle them up the chain, if you like. They even have, here's an example for throwing exceptions. They have these what are called try-catch blocks. So if you have a suspicious section of code where it has an opportunity to do something bad, opening a file, for example, maybe the file doesn't exist, and yeah, there's a file not found exception, so if the file isn't there, that would definitely be a problem, right? So if that condition happens in here, you got this catch section that will look for that, catch it, and then you can sort of handle that here, do whatever you want. And then as part of that try catch, there's an optional finally section to do any other kind of cleanup work you want to do. Anyway, we use just exception. There's file not found exception. There are numerous kinds of exceptions to cover all sorts of things, so feel free to look into that if you like. Really, it has nothing to do with this video. I just thought it might be an opportunity to introduce a new concept, and so you're aware of it. You will see this kind of thing in real programs. So back to it. We said we're not going to trust you. I like that. And then, yeah, doing what we have been doing. I think this will work. Let's see. Cool. Yeah, it's happy. And then my OCD comes in and I add a space there. On another topic, just be consistent with the way you format your code. You know, I like to have a space between my using statements and the beginning of the class. You've probably noticed that I always line up the matching curly braces vertically. A lot of people will put the first one up here instead. I don't like that, but you see how it made everything one less, there's one less line being used. So this is my personal preference. Part of it's driven by places I've worked where usually you run into companies that have their own coding standards, and they sort of let you know this in advance, and then you should just kind of follow whatever protocol they have. You can even set the IDEs up to sort of format for you and do that by default while you're working, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, I'd say the key thing though is, find your style and keep it consistent. It makes the code quite pleasant to read when you do that. So yeah, okay, we'll leave it there and not diverge and talk about too many different concepts here. Hopefully you found that helpful, and thanks for watching.